As of the end of 2022, the rise in the cost of everything caused by rampant inflationary pressure had made life 8 to 9% more expensive in the United States, and closer to 10% in the European Union, as reported by Eurostat. This dramatic rise in the cost of living and purchasing the essentials for life has essentially made our saved money less and less valuable. The causes of such an increase in prices can be attributed to the myriad of factors, from an overdue recession beginning to sink its teeth into the economy, to the compromised supply chains due to the impact of the pandemic, to other such effects as the war in Ukraine. Regardless of why this is happening, the bitter truth is that now, more than ever, we should be lining up the request for raises at work. I mean, from an exclusionary economic perspective, it is sadly increasingly common for workers to be the only link in the price hike of productivity that does not get paired up to the new reality. As manufacturing materials become more and more expensive due to the aforementioned damaged supply chains, the rise in prices is also felt in the final products that are developed from them. So labor, the mechanism to transform one into the other, should also see that reflection. But more often than not, this is an effect that does not take place, and almost never without the intervention of an organizing body larger than the individual, to pressure businesses into satisfying the demand for higher salaries, be them trade unions or the state itself. So welcome to Rebel Economics, where today we will discuss the best ways for workers to catch up to the new prices in the market and get that desired increase in salary. If you like the content that we put out, please drop a like and subscribe. We're a fairly young channel and we appreciate each and everyone that takes the time to watch, like and subscribe on these videos. But now back to the video. When trying to get a raise from your boss, there is a complex tapestry of behaviors and actions that one must understand before knocking on the door to the corner office. Here are a few strategies that we have in mind to make sure the next check that you receive reflects the value you truly bring to your employer. First, know the price of your labor. This is a very basic notion that many people seem to ignore as they get comfortable in a position, especially those that have been loyal to a company for a long time and accept the salary that they receive without much questioning of whether the price for their skills have increased in the past. There are two contexts to consider when understanding how the value of your skills might have appreciated over time: the internal context and the external context. The internal context reflects who you are and the value you bring to your company from an exclusively performance-oriented perspective. It stands to reason that, as you mature in your role and acquire more responsibilities, so will your productivity rise as well. I mean, think to yourself how much better you are now at your job than you were 5 or 10 years ago, and ask yourself, has the payment for my services to this company been commensurate to the ratio of improvement in my performance? If you decide the answer is no, then try to sketch out a simple calculation that allows you to roughly estimate how much more productive each of your hours are, and so get in the ballpark of a fair figure to give your boss. The second context that affects the price of your labor is external. Has the world in your profession evolved to pay higher salaries in other companies? If so, why should you be punished for your loyalty? The best way to discover this is going on a couple of interviews, or perhaps contacting a recruiter for your industry via LinkedIn, or any other similar social network oriented to work relationships. Once you see the salary that you could be making somewhere else, you will have a specific salary to bring to your boss as a basis for negotiation. Just make sure that it is realistic and the position you compare yourself with actually reflects your current responsibilities and experience. Second, prove your worth. Once you have a specific range of salary options to present to your boss, it's important that you start strategizing the meeting itself. The best way to do this is by considering the perspective of the most cynical boss archetype that you can imagine, and try to picture how you would present your case in front of him or her. Now, some of you may have a fairly nice boss that might be persuaded just by the first point we measure, and agree that your current wages don't pair up to your improved internal productivity or the evolution of your profession in the labor market. But for most bosses, this might not be the case. I'm not necessarily saying that most bosses are ruthless, but they do look at their employees in a very particular way, as factors of production. This might not be romantic or adequate in every case, and it does not mean that they don't like you or anything like that, but A company is not a family. And the same way you would not go to work if they didn't pay you, they would not pay you if you didn't work. So, go with a plan to prove your worth to him and explain your desired new salary with actual proof. What I mean with actual proof is hard data that backs up your position, like an increase in hours billed to clients, a consistent ability to meet your quota in sales or recruitment, or a list of clear achievements that have had an effect in the company for which you were responsible. Bosses, at least the good ones, can appreciate productivity and good workers. Almost their entire point is to spot talent and bring it into the team to serve the purpose of the company. Some bosses think that they have no incentive to offer, say, a bi-yearly wage increases. But even if I believe this to be a mistake, something that they can refute is hard proof of increased productivity. Third, be firm but fair. The truth is that, at some point in our lives, a degree of servitude is implanted in our minds when it comes to our bosses. The fact that they have expensive suits that we can afford, or that they get a better office, or that they never seem to have enough time for us certainly don't help. And the echo of submission, stronger in some people than others, might make the process of going in the reverse direction to the chain of command to request a raise a bit complicated. All those emotions of intruding, being seen as greedy, or downright imposter syndrome making you think that you don't deserve the raise put many workers in a compromised position. Additionally, you run the risk of coming off as too angry if you start threatening your boss, or too soft in your arguments so that even if the raise is given, it turns out to be a fraction of what you feel you deserve. Intense emotion control must be exercised when asking for a raise. Our previous 2 points of knowing your worth and having an ability to prove your increased productivity will help in basically giving you a speech to follow as you present your evidence. But still, it is key to decide the tone that you will adopt. This also largely depends on who your boss is. Is he a tyrant who gets his kicks ordering people around? Is she a productivity wizard only focused on raising percentages, or instead a sweet person that might warm up to your case? You might know this better than anyone, and your tone should reflect this understanding of your manager. Our advice is to be firm but fair. What we mean is this. Be firm because, as we mentioned before, some bosses believe that they have no incentive to offer more than the lowest salary that will keep you there, and will try to torpedo your request. After all, they have been in many of those situations before, and if they are tyrants, they would know how to exacerbate those feelings of inadequacy that we mentioned before. Be firm in your convictions and refer to your research. Don't make value arguments like "I feel like I deserve a raise" if you don't have a specific answer to the word why. Ideally, an answer that includes raising percentages and monetary values. But also be mindful of being fair. In this point, I will not defend loyalty to your company as a necessary virtue. Many companies abuse this loyalty, while in the event of an economic downturn, they will let their workers go without hesitation. When I say be fair, I mean don't ask for ridiculous salaries that you found on iffy websites. Also, I would not recommend threatening with your exit. Maybe if you have another option lined up, this is a possibility, but this will automatically put the manager in a defensive stance and be less likely to listen to your requests. I think to a certain degree, in many industries, those with high mobility and especially among young people, the threat of walking away will inherently underlay every salary conversation, so there is no need to bring it up. If you feel like you must do so, perhaps out of respect for your boss and a wish to say it face to face, go back to the irrefutable facts. Salary offered by other companies, better benefits, whatever it might be. It would be better than simply saying something like, "Hey boss, either you give me what I want or you're all screwed because I will leave." Fourth, diagonal versus vertical progress. I will never forget what one coworker said to me in my first sales job right after university. We started working together as sales reps in a young tech company in Spain. And one day, after a couple of years, he told me that he was leaving to join a competitor. I asked why, since I believe we were good in our standing positions. But he said that he was hurt by the fact that no promotion or raise had been offered to us in 2 years. So, since the vertical progress was not an option, he was opting for the diagonal progress, getting a higher salary and position, but somewhere else. Afterwards, He leaned in and told me his theory on raises. He said, "A company will never be incentivized to pay you more for the simple reason that you're a resource that they already have, while another company will be incentivized to pay a bit over market because you're a resource that they need." And this will be something that I recommend to all employees who are disappointed with their salaries and thinking that a raise just simply isn't in the cards. Look outside of your company. If you believe your skills might be applicable somewhere else, go and sell your time there. You should think of yourself not as a cog in some company's machine, but as a company of only one, whose duty is to pick clients to work for that will satisfy your life project. We're talking about salary today, but consider also working from home, maternity leave, and such. Your life project should be financed by your clients, aka your employer, as far as your skills can command that salary. As the final point I say to you, remember that not all raises are horizontal, that there is also the possibility of diagonal progress, and growing from where they already have you to where they might need you. So thank you for watching Rebel Economics. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider liking and subscribing, and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now. So thank you, and I will see you in the next one.